Hi, today we will have a webinar where I'll share with you 7 lessons that I've learned from creating and learning in augmented virtual reality. This will also be an introduction to how easy it is to do this and how enjoyable it is to do it. So the reason I draw this 7 lessons is that Eon recently has released a new platform feature that makes it significantly easier to develop content. This has been the biggest problem in VR and AR so far. There's statistics showing that 82% of students and companies that are trying to create content in virtual reality, augmented reality, a lot of people have bought the hardware, but there's not enough content, and 82% of them decide not to proceed to an implementation because of that. So our quest has been to make it easy to use, and I decided to eat our own dog food. And although I have not been developing VR and AR for many years, and my knowledge is about PowerPoint level, nothing scripting, nothing like that, I took the quest to do lessons and applications. And honestly, I got hooked. And I learned 7 things that I wish to share with you, and also show you some concrete examples. So first of all is how I feel. This was a little bit of a surprise, because I was expecting, when I do PowerPoints, it's fun, but it's also, it's a work. Creating an experience of augmented virtual reality was actually different. It was exciting, it was joyful, and more important, I got a sense of fulfillment. That I haven't experienced when I create videos in the same way. It's different, and I can't put my finger on it, but it's special. Another thing is, I don't know if you play video games, but when I do good interactive video games, short period, I can be very excited, but afterwards it leaves me with a sense of emptiness. I feel that I haven't used my time. I never felt that when I created these lessons. So my original idea was to do 10 lessons, and that plan didn't work. I was planning to do 1.5 hours a day in my spare time, and over 2 weeks I was up to a little bit more than 400 lessons. Now, maybe I should also add that I'm a very curious person. I like exploration, but I'm also quite disciplined, so I feel the satisfaction when I do something. So I was really hooked. The third lesson I learned actually reminds me of travel. I really like to travel, and I'm curious about people. I love to see new environments, learn new things, meet different cultures. So far, I was blessed to go to 130 countries, some of them actually 60 times, like Japan. And I'm very motivated because it's a rich experience. And I felt not exactly the same, but similar when it comes to augmented virtual reality. I mean, you are totally immersed in video, in audio, in visual, I shouldn't say video, and also in a kind of tactile environment. The fourth one is kind of odd. This was totally unexpected. I felt wealthy. And let me explain what I mean by that. So once you start creating lessons and you turn them in your living room in augmented reality, you have almost first it's kind of an unusual feeling, because you're not used to have, sculptures in your living room or woolly mammoth on your terrace. So that's an unusual feeling. But however, after a while, you kind of get used to it. So it feels a little bit like genie in the bottle, that you kind of feel a sense of property, that it belongs there. And given that Eon has more than 800, I think almost 880 different environments and 3D objects and building blocks on which you can make the lessons, this gives me a feeling of richness. Honestly, I can see a time, maybe in the next 2-3 years, as the Googles get better, that using AR Assist, you can have physical, virtual objects that can be part of your life and always be there virtually that you may not need physically, which will make decorations, for example, all type of music devices, etc., that you can have a physical or physical representation of augmented reality. Who stole my cheese? So this is also an interesting thing. After 10 to 15 minutes, when you have an object, or let's say a famous sculpture, historical artifact, once I turn my phone or device off, let's say it's AR device, the artifact disappears. And it's like, wait a second, it was there. So it's this unconscious, I think the brain was not really designed to make a difference between augmented reality. If you see it there and moves and interacts, after a while you think it's there. Now, as I said in my previous slide, I look forward to use Eon AR Assist so I can create anchor points. So my favorite objects always are there. So when I turn my phone, the phone recognizes the anchor point and whatever object or artifact or environment is there. And the last, not the last, the penultimate one is the freedom. The ability to explore almost anything, right? So I try things like Swiss particle accelerate. That's $1 billion in CERN that I never had a time or opportunity to visit. Neither have I seen the latest SpaceX rocket other than a video. I haven't seen it physically, or even in augmented reality before. So it's it's nice to combine. I was on my terrace watching the sunset behind SpaceX rocket launch. That was quite epic. And last one, sharing is caring. So I have now in 2 weeks, it's a little more now, almost 3, personally experienced how easy it is to both create and experience augmented virtual reality. And somehow, there's 2 feelings in me. One, I'm totally convinced that as the devices become more out there, people will wear it, and this is perhaps the next break from, we went from television to screens to now phones, smartphones, and the next step is full augmented reality glasses. But already today, if anyone, 4 billion people that have an Android or iPhone or any other type of device can enjoy that today. So it's a secret, not many people know it. With Eon's freemium model, you can actually download, which we are launching in January, you can actually download a lot of these lessons free. In fact, you can do it today by downloading the app. So you go to creatoravr.com and you can download to your phone. It has to be a modern phone, so you wouldn't do it with a 5-6 years old because of the graphic requirements. So to help that, I will share my lessons for free, so you can have a chance to experience it. And we'll see some of these very shortly, but in the next. So there is also a link you can go to if you want to see a little bit what I created. I also created some YouTube assets, so you'll see them, and I'll point you to that a little bit later. Okay, so let's talk 2 minutes about the platform itself. So the platform is a cloud-based solution that allows you to have data, so you can get building blocks. We have a huge library that's accessible, because the problem is most users don't know how to create a 3D model, which is not easy, may not even know how to do a 360 camera. So for that, we have already pre-existing models. You can also import your own models. We support about 120 formats. You can create then the content. You'll see how. So a user with very limited experience can actually do it. You can then publish this. You can publish it on your desktop, so you can see it on your desktop, on your tablet, on your smartphone, and you can also publish it on headset. So we are agnostic. We also, on the back end, for larger institutions or larger corporation, we also have user management, content management, service integration, so we can monitor. Now, underlying this, you can be multiple users in the same environment. You get an analytic, so you get the results of what you've done. It's also integrated with IoT. We use the latest technology in AI for image recognition. It's a very secure platform. Okay. So
Welcome again to the
I will
AVR
not show you the full demo. I encourage
Today-
you to see it on the internet. But basically, the steps, the whole idea is to make it easy for people, and you can log in this on the desktop. This is the desktop version, and you can either use existing applications or create new ones. Okay, so if you want to see the whole process how it's done, you're welcome to see this video. It's go to Eon's YouTube channel, and you can see there, or you can go to our website. So EASY stands for effortless, affordable, self-service, and interconnected. So effortless is to make the whole experience simplified, intuitive. The platform is almost like, it feels like a combination of how shall I say, Netflix, where you can experience existing things, or YouTube, where you can both experience things and see them and create your own, upload your own applications. It is very affordable, so we have packaging starting for students at $12 per month, and we have industry solutions for $42 per month. It is self-service. You can, as I said, do it yourself by using existing assets or importing your own data. And it is interconnected, so any content we do can be used in different modalities. So you can either see it in virtual reality or augmented reality or mixed reality or just desktop or mobile. And we have an end-to-end solution. So on the left side, you'll see it's the platform. And we also have something called the Vault, which is a vast catalog of augmented virtual reality applications that we developed over many years. And with that, we also offer the opportunity to have a marketplace, so users can themselves develop additional application and get revenues. They make 70% of any applications, and we retain 30% for helping selling that. And you can do many other things. I'm not going to go in detail, but I'll show you two more examples here, and then we'll go to the actual lesson. So here you see how we use what we call the 3D recording button. And this gives you the ability to record a standard operation procedure, step by step, either in advanced virtual reality, or you can do it on a mobile device. So let me just show how that works. 1 second.
Speak with and interact with Creator AVR. You can take lesson creation a step further than ever before with the new interaction recording feature. While recording your voiceover for a lesson, you can now also record your movements and interactions within the app itself, allowing for more precision when explaining specific details of any object.
So the proper order for disassembling the V-twin engine is like this. You want to start with the camshaft before moving on. So the proper order for disassembling a V-twin engine is like
So this is perfect if you want to do, for example, you have 12 standard operation procedure, replacing the filter or showing someone how to open things up. And this is not a video, actually.
Also new to Creator AVR, you can forget being limited to one-on-one sessions. With the new collaboration feature, you can now allow others to learn with you through Creator.
So the idea with this is that you can be many people in the same
With a
environment.
simple email invitation, 2 or more students or trainees can experience the same lesson at the same time, making it ideal both for group studying as well as instructors looking to teach more efficiently. Lastly, AR Assist.
So this is, once you create the step-by-step procedure, let's say how to repair this car, you can superimpose that on a digital twin, so you get the instructions instantly when you need it, as you need it, in the context that you need it. Okay, so another thing we do is we are present globally in 17 countries, and so we have support for many, many languages, to more than 24 languages, which is important because it has to be contextual adapted. So that's part of our belief that knowledge is a human right, and that we've been, as I said, personally, I've been traveling to many, many countries to make sure that we can democratize knowledge. Let me show you some examples. So I'm going to the YouTube channel, and you can hear here, let's see, we have Norwegian, Chinese. Let's try Chinese.
国际空间站 ISS 是低地球轨道上的空间
So
站。
this is Chinese for the space station lesson.
由研究人员
We
在
have
生物学、人类
Japanese,
生物学、
we
物
have
理学、天
Italian.
文学、气象学和其他领域进行。
Let's see here. Let's pick one more just to get the point through. Danish, German, Swedish, Turkish. Let's try Turkish. Portuguese.
7500'den milattan önce 5700 ve milattan önce 7000.
You can also select languages, female, different speakers. So we do text to speech. So I think that's a very useful feature. Okay, so let's see what my baby steps when I learned. And I was basically self-taught. I didn't have to go in a lesson creation mode. I was pretty self-explanatory. I'm interested in space. I did first one about the rate of expansion of the universe, which is done with the Hubble
Determining the rate of expansion of the universe was made possible
telescope.
by the observations of Hubble Space Telescope.
So here I created a lesson which has an introduction. I looked at the mirror. This is the mirror that, was broken. I made a recording. I created a locate, initiate, quizzes. I had video references to different embedded in the lessons. So, etc., etc. And then once I done it, I placed it in my living room here. So I can...
Determining the rate of expansion of the universe was made possible by the observations of Hubble Space Telescope. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched into low Earth orbit in 1990 and remains in operation.
So
The
now
Hubble
then I
Space
conducted
Telescope captures
dissection.
images
I
of
want to
cosmic
explore.
wonders and investigates their secrets. Since its launch in 1990,
And
Hubble
here
has
I'm
changed
using
our
my
fundamental
mobile phone.
understanding of the universe.
So basically, I have this wand that is obviously virtual, and I'll be able to interact with the lesson. And then there's a lot of practical things like pain removal, anesthesia, how to replace a machine like
An
that.
anesthetic machine,
And,
British English, or anesthesia machine, American English. See spelling different with a
So again, I was going through procedures, typical procedures that nurses have to learn in this context. Of course, I'm very interested in art, so I had to do an application around that. And this was quite...
Attributed to the Stiok. Created sometime, the Seagull Decemphit 103 centimeters, 6th of Milos, where it was discovered.
So this was a very simple one. And then I started going from single objects. I did whole environments. So this is a Neolithic house I built the lesson for with an intro. And it's based on on excavations. Very interesting. In fact, these houses are almost 10,000 years old, and you have to enter the house from the top. And then I was very curious to see how does it feel to be in a house like this. So first I did it inside indoors, but I said, okay, why don't we take this experience outdoors? So that's what I did. So I took it outdoors. So now I scaled it first. So it became life-size scale 1:1. And I started walking. I was on a parking lot because that was space I could find. You can see my feet there. And I was walking around. I have to be careful so no car runs over me while I'm looking at this. And you can see there to the right, to the left. And I'm at, here I had a little bit low battery, but I'm at scale 1:1. They were slightly smaller than us at that time. So I actually scaled it to the right size. And it's kind of very interesting to see this house appearing and me exploring it on a parking lot 10,000 years later. And I also wanted to go upstairs to check it out. Obviously, the stairs wouldn't hold me. They are all in augmented reality. But I could go and look up. So that was an interesting experience. And then I also, by the way, when I'm at that, let me show you one more. So because my background is aerospace, so I was very keen to do this. And we got some question actually from one of our customers. They wanted to do maintenance repair operation training, but in a very simplified way using devices. So this is a very an example where you can scale the aircraft. I couldn't do it full scale because there was not enough space, but I did it as big as a car. And then now we are looking at this, and I'm interacting. I can do fuselage replacement, standard MRO procedure, maintenance repair operation for various aspects. So that's the power of that. And so then I went over to maneuvering tools. I did a whole lesson on that. These are a little bit more advanced now. I got a little bit better. So you can see that there's a hierarchical tree here, so I can go from a very high level to a low level in this environment. And of course you can have them also. And then after that I start looking at what about devices, because we have a lot of companies that work with medical devices, and so there's two use cases here, both on the end user, hospitals like Kaiser Permanente, or on the manufacturer side. And this is quite an exciting way to do it. And of course, then you bring it to scale. So you start maybe on your desktop, but then you scale it to life size, and it can be multiple people, and you can interact without physically having access to it. It is just to create the lesson, I learned more about these devices than I knew. I mean, it was a very exciting way to learn by creating lessons. Of course, I also went to helicopters because that's an interest in our family. So you can see here that we started with a helicopter on the desktop. This is desktop view. And then eventually, the lesson combines also interaction. So you see a video of what you have to do, and then you have to do it yourself.
Those cylinders are horizontally opposed.
So you can see that, and then now you see how we actually interact with it. In fact, it's even better when I show you the same, because I recorded this also, and you can see now I'm going to go into the engine, and first you have to replace the top part, and then there's like 12 steps that you have to do. So first I exploded it so I can see the different aspects, and then I put it back together, and then I start actually do it in the sequence, in the correct sequence. You can see this here. Just a second. In order to, in this case, I was trying to find the generator. Then that led me to how diesel fuel engines work. I had no clue, actually. Well, I learned it in school, but I didn't know the details of it. But I did learn it very quickly when I created this lesson, and was very helpful. Of course, to have the diesel engine in front, the injection aspect in front of you is helpful. Then I came back to space. I'm very interested in the most distant man-made object that is almost in intergalactic area. And here, by the way, you can see how I experienced for the first time the system allows me to guide me through the process. So if I don't know what to do, it's going to do it for me. Okay.
September 5th, 1977.
So that's
part of the voyage.
Some of those. Then I looked at the failed mission to Mars Moon. This is the Russians that were trying to do that.
Was an attempted Russian sample return.
Then I looked at different propulsion ways to Mars. This is one propulsion method that can give us the whole thing in 100 days, which was quite fascinating to learn. So, and here I did some quizzes also, by the way, so you can see that there's questions and answers. Then I moved to medical, virus. I'm very fascinated about that, to see how we work. And I put the virus on a
Influenza virus causes influenza in birds and some mammals, and is the only species of the
put it on a shelf. I moved on to neurons. Neurons, I remember from school with all the aspects, the axon, the synaptic terminals, etc.
Allow them to do is to take information in from their surroundings and respond to that information.
And of course I had my neuron there. And then, of course, I also am interested in nuclear power plants, especially accidents. Nuclear power plants supposedly are the safest things on Earth in terms of kilowatt-hour production. They are even more safe than solar because people fell off the roofs. But I looked specifically at the three big accidents in Fukushima, 3 Mile Island, and Chernobyl. And then within those, I start looking at where they went wrong, right? Which aspect was it, how this propagated. And of course, you can see here that I could study it in a way that I also looked at fossil fuel formation, what has happened. So this is built, I found materials around it and look, we did a quiz, for example. Yeah. So fossils will include coal, oil, and natural gas, coal, biomass, and tidal, coal, solar, and wind. So what do you think is the right answer? Yes, I got it right. And then, of course, I put them on the table here, my work table, so I could study it a little bit more careful. Structure of a human sperm, I learned about that. Chariots in warfare, this is the Greeks. No, this is actually the Egyptians, sorry. And how they evolved that technique was quite interesting. Here's my chariot among 2 Afghan horses there. Ballistic devices. I placed my ballistic device. Then I went into medical again, anatomy and cancer. This is the breast structure. Some defense-related activities on the famous army tank. This is the birdie to spider. And I placed the spider on the terrace here. It's pretty big. So that's a very, very short review of my personal experience on this. And all I can say that is I really encourage you to try it. If you need any help, we're happy to help you in this context. Just reach out to Ian and we'll help you with any tips and etc. We are very, in the next presentation, I'll also go into looking a little bit on how other users around the world are using this type of lessons. So that's something that we will share in the next presentation. So I'll just give you a little sneak preview from that. So for example, success stories from around the globe. You see it here. So we have Mohawk, Canada, with their success stories. We have places in Kosovo, which is the newest country in Europe. We'll talk about why they use it and how they use it. So we have stories from live television in different locations around the globe where this has been featured on national TV. Japan, etc., etc. So we'll take you on a tour around the world so you can see how this works. And with that, we'd like to thank you for your interest and attention. And feel free to visit our website or our YouTube channel and tell us what you think. Have a good one. Bye.